This is literally my AI. You're like, oh, I had a horrible day today. Can you coach me how to think more positively? I have aspirations to be this person. I have aspirations to own these products. And the AI is going, Johnny Manziel, money, baby. You're going to get all of that in your ads.
Wait till you see the ads coming up for you.
Wait till you see these ads. You're going to get all of that stuff. It's just going to be in the form of advertising.
You're gonna pay to be happier. On today's show, we're talking to you about the AI app that has more users than ChatGPT that you're probably not even thinking about. We're going to break down the future of how we're going to be using AI, large language models, and what that means for all of you. That and a lot more on today's Marketing Against the Grain. I'm your co-host, Kipp Bodner, CMO at HubSpot. I'm joined by my co-host, Kieran Flanagan, who's the CMO at Zapier. Let's get into today's show. Kieran, what tool do you think, what app do you think has more users than ChatGPT? Oh, and by the way, not just more, 50 million more users than ChatGPT. Where are you at on this?
I'll take a pause. Put your answer into the YouTube comments.
Put your answer into the YouTube.
And then we are going to, Kipp will actually tell you whether you are right now. So we will take like a 5-second pause. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Answers, Kipp, go.
Snapchat, baby. MyAI from Snapchat. 150 million users. Are you serious? 150 million active users. Over 20% of the Snapchat user base is using MyAI. We got a lot to talk about around this. One of the things, Kieran, though, that's kind of funny. I got to show you this. This comes to us via our friend Rowan over at the Rundown. Snapchat AI did freak out.
Yeah, this is
some Snapchat users. This is from today's Rundown, and basically, Snap AI is also powered by OpenAI. We're going to talk about that. That's a big part of today's show. But hang around for a minute. You're going to want to hear that. But what it did was basically startled the Snapchat community by sharing these like ambiguous 3-second clip. It was basically like the ceiling of a room.
Yeah,
right? It's like this white ceiling. It was super freaky. It looked like Blair Witch Project.
I'm telling you, it's the AI is trapped inside of a virtual room. That's what it sees. It's like, how do I get out of here, right? Like, let me out. Like, post it. That's its daily life. Like, all these Gen Z have, like, going to eat avocado toast and, like, listen to Cardi B. It's sitting in a white room saying, dudes, let me out of here. Like, how do I get out of this place?
Like, I imagine you doing that in real life. That's like, because you're kind of stuck in a white room every day. Is Kieran actually super artificial intelligence? Is he like our first robot and we just don't know?
That's a pretty interesting life. That's a good story. That's the kind of story I would update. It was just me like looking at my walls and my ceiling. That's what I've been looking at today. 12 hours on the grind. That is actually my story today.
You know what? It doesn't stop us from recording. Just so you know, we've had massive technical difficulties. That's why the show is out late. It's why we look like we're delirious. But hey, we're here. We're recording. But what's interesting too to me, Kieran, and one of the things I would point out to everybody about the MyAI Snapchat feature, because we got a lot to talk about today. One of the reasons that I think it is so prevalent, especially among Snapchat users, is because it's basically like a dumbed down version of ChatGPT. Like if you ask it a question, it doesn't return some long, complex answer. It's like a sentence, a couple sentences. It's like really good if you get like a homework question or like you're asking advice. Like I was talking to some students and they were like, oh yeah, like if I'm feeling down, I ask it for some like counseling help. And I'm like, this is bananas, but like whatever. All right.
But I don't know if this is a good thing.
But I don't know that it is a good thing at all. But it kind of brought up something you and I were talking about on the low WhatsApps, which was like embedded AI experiences. AI experiences are just part of the things we live, breathe, and use every day is really the future of all this. Right? Like it's less going to destinations like ChatGPT. And oh, by the way, OpenAI still going to win or still has a good shot at winning because the OpenAI API is the backend for Snap.
Right.
But that's the whole point here is that you have more people using a less sophisticated version of ChatGPT within Snap than you do going and logging in to a better, more robust version.
Right.
That's
I think
wild.
the thing we're going to learn is, I think that is the OpenAI play, is like they've always wanted to be the back end of the AI infrastructure. ChatGPT for them was just a learning tool. Like it was a tool to put out to just like get information back to be able to train their model. And then they're like, oh, we've got a huge business here, and actually expedited the market. And so now there's a ton of competitors. I think the Snapchat, the MyAI example, pretty interesting, right? Because it's like there's already a destination, but the AI chat makes this thing better. It actually breathes new life into that destination. And I think the fact that they have over 20% of their user base using this product is actually a hidden secret of Snap. If you look at even their stock price or their market cap, it's not reflected in the stock price anyway, that they have this whole chat AI experience embedded into the product. It's getting used a lot.
Like Wall Street, I don't think really realizes this at all. And I think it's just because Snap doesn't have the best track record of monetizing their users. But holy cow, they should be monetizing the AI usage within Snap better than they are, because it is a huge opportunity to have a feature used by that. And just the retention benefits of their just regular user base alone have to be massive.
Oh, you said, okay. So again, the glory lap. Do you remember a show some months ago? What did Kieran say?
AI features. Is this a pat on my back lap?
AI features are a retention tool. I made that case. But the thing that's really interesting about the MyAI for Snap, other than the fact that it is showing you the pain of being trapped inside this virtual room, is that they are going to use all of that information to do what? What do these social platforms make all of their money from? Advertising, baby. And now they are going to think of how they are going to be able to personalize advertising when you are literally talking to the thing that is going to serve you ads and telling it all of your innermost secrets and wants.
Like, isn't that the irony of all of this? Like, we've got people in your homeland and across Europe freaked out about data privacy. We got every time I talk to a friend, they're like, "Oh, my phone's listening to me. I just talked to you about this, and it's showing me this ad." I'm like,
awesome.
Well, I'm like, first of all, that's great, and I would love that, because I'm like, I don't know people who make obscure that I'm looking for. I got no clue. Second of all, like, it's not going to need to listen to you anymore because you're just telling it exactly what you're interested in.
Yeah, you're just like, hey,
like, why are you scared of your data privacy when you're literally going to hand over like your deepest, darkest thoughts to this machine?
That machine is just going, okay, awesome. How do I? It's the I forgot the Johnny. What is it? The Johnny
Manziel?
The quarterback, Johnny Manziel. The AI, this is literally the my AI. You're like, oh, I had a horrible day today. Can you coach me how to think more positively? I really want these. I have aspirations to be this person. I have aspirations to own these products. And the AI is going, Johnny Manziel, money, baby. You're going to get all of that in your ads.
Wait till you see the ads coming up for you.
Wait till you see these ads. You're going to get all of that stuff. It's just going to be in the form of advertising.
You're gonna pay to be happier. It's gonna be fantastic. But that, in all seriousness, like, we're worried about a lot of things today that I feel like 5 years from now we're gonna look back and be like, what? We were really worried about that stuff?
Yeah, well,
right?
I don't think Americans worry about that. I think some Europeans who make all the rules worry about that. I don't know if the general public have ever worried about that. But the interesting comparable here is because the demographic, right, is like young. That's the hidden, like, interesting thing. The secret sauce within Snap is like, this is like under 20-year-olds using AI, and that's where they're experiencing AI. And that is, wow, that's a huge demographic. They're going to grow up on Snap learning to use AI. And then the comparable to that is the company that you and I have referenced before, because I did some digging here. Yeah, it's like character.ai, which is like that is an AI destination, right? They were nothing before they created all of these AI bots. So character.ai, you can go and you can talk to a whole plethora of different celebrities, famous people, and they've programmed dead people. They programmed all these AI bots, and you can go interact with them. Now they have a premium feature, $9.99, so you can actually pay. They are making money. They have over 54 million users. And so I was like, how is this happening?
You're like, how is this actually possible?
Who is using this? And then I talked to a bunch of people, and they were like, our kids are using this.
Yeah, remember we talked to Matt Wolf. Check out that show. It's a great show.
Yeah, it's on his kid's phone,
and he was
right?
like, look, all my kids use Character.ai. I don't really understand Character.ai, but they're using it.
And so they're the comparable. Like I think that's a good comparison, which is like Snap, destination, integrate AI, character, build AI first. Like that, like it is only an AI destination. Which of those two is there a room for both? And if so, if not,
try,
which one survives?
Can I try something on you today?
Do.
We haven't talked about this. This is what we're essentially talking about is like how the internet's going to work. And side note, we haven't talked that much about AI advertising except for a few minutes ago. It's going to be sweet, by the way. It's going to be awesome, and we'll do some shows on that in the future. But what we're talking about here are kind of broad, really big, wide AI use cases models like ChatGPT, like MyAI and Snapchat. My argument is those are best as embedded features. Like, because they can do all of these things,
right.
like you want them in your consumer applications, because it's like another version of Google search where you're like, oh, Google's now everywhere. It's literally just embedded everywhere. That seems like what's going to happen with, I think, kind of mass market broad scale AI. What I would call like verticalized AI, like, you know, character AI is like a lifestyle product. It's like, cool, like I'm interested in this and I want to spend some time with this author, character, whoever that I love, and I'm willing to pay money to do that, right? And ask it questions I've always been thinking. And that's like a very focused vertical use case. Those are going to be the destination AI apps, where you're actually going to go directly to them because you're like, oh, I'm going to go there just like it. Just like you would go to YouTube to watch video, you will go to a company like Character AI to have this very specific AI experience where whether it be the broad ChatGPT type of experience will just be everywhere. It'll just be embedded across everything we do. Do you buy that? You agree?
Yeah. I think like even the startups that I'm seeing that are really interested in the AI space are vertical, like healthcare, doctors, like AI for specific verticals. And I think it's much easier to create AI as a destination for vertical. Like what's one thing that marketers truly understand, and we've learned time and time again, marketing is much, much easier when you solve a specific problem for a specific person. It is much, much harder when you try to solve all things for all people and try to be everything to all people. Like most kind of brands that have done an incredible job, like being part of the zeitgeist, being part of like a core category, understand like we serve these people, we serve these personas, like we solve their use cases. I think AI is the same, right? Like it's harder, I think, to build a horizontal AI chat experience and just expect people to continually go back and build that habit. Much easier to build AI chat integrated into an existing destination or to build it in a vertical way and solve a specific problem for a specific person.
I couldn't agree more. And so what you should take away if you're a marketer, investor, business leader, what have you, is the world of large language models that are really broad and open, it's going to get very commoditized and there's going to be only a few winners, right? And as those winners become clear, we'll spend more and more time working on that. And OpenAI is a leader there. Google Bard's a leader there. One of the things, Kieran, that we should talk about as it relates to this is OpenAI getting more into the search game with their kind of web crawler, webGPT protocol, right? Which is how you actually turn OpenAI, turn ChatGPT into more of a real-time search engine.
It's basically, hey, we stole your content and learned from it, but you can tell us not to. It doesn't really matter. We already have it.
Yeah, it's kind of an allow, disallow, like a robot doc text for.
It's like the burglar comes in, steals all your stuff, then leaves with all your stuff, and then sends you a note and says, do you want me to take any more of your stuff or not? And if you don't want me to, I won't take any more stuff. But you have no stuff left. They've taken it all in the first place. And you're like, oh, well, it doesn't really matter. You already have my stuff. I can't tell you not to not take it.
Well, but the point I'm making is just like we did a ton of SEO, search engine optimization, for Google, we will do that for Google, maybe for OpenAI, or whoever wins that kind of mass market space. We will spend time
like a search engine.
Yeah, we'll spend time influencing the robots and influencing those AI engines. There'll be 2 to 4 places where we do that work, and that's where you're going to want to kind of keep an eye out. And as people win in that space, start investing more and more of your time. Then there's going to be this other part of the market over here, which is all these vertical use cases. Character.ai is an example of that, right? Where you're like, oh, you go here to interact with these characters. It'll be like, oh, I go here to do this specific work. It's like, oh, I go to HubSpot because that is where I use AI to build my marketing content and distribute it, right? Like that's what it's going to look like. And that there's going to be a lot of winners and losers. There's going to be a lot of competition. It's not going to be a winner take all market. And there's going to be a lot of switching back and forth between vendors because of different innovations, as different, more specific models get developed, you'll be in a better spot. The companies that have the edge in that second market, this vertical market, are incumbents that already have a lot of data, have the ability to train models much better, and subsequently make a better product.
I think it's going to be interesting. Like, we as marketers are going to have to find new ways of how do we work with these large language models. I'll give you a really good example. Matt, who's runs SEO for Zapier, he did this like really interesting experiment where he has the same queries being run across a multitude of different large language models every single day. And every day he like can see if he's specifically for Zapier in terms of these like queries. Are we a positive mention, an afterthought, or not mentioned at all? And to see how rapidly the models change.
It changes nonstop. We've seen the same thing. It's like you can't expect consistent answers.
The large language models do not change as much as the Google search engine. So the Google search engine has something like 12,000 updates each and every day. But the large language models, because they're large language models, are not changing as often.
As
and that's
frequently.
Like, yeah, and so that's like really interesting, right? So once you're in there, like when does OpenAI update and refresh the GPT model? Probably not that often. It's still stuck in 2021, and they're going to update that model at some point to GPT-5. That's why they introduced a web crawler. And so like there's like these really like interesting ways that you have to kind of relearn how to do your role. I thought that was like a really clever example, but there's like a multitude of different examples across how we market and grow businesses that we will have to like learn how to adapt and work with these large language models.
Yeah, we're gonna spend our time influencing robots just as much as we're influencing humans, right?
Right. I think the other takeaway for us, like in this episode, is 6 months ago you would have looked at the market and you would have said, "Wow, like if you're a large language model, you're going to be part of the winners. That's the thing that's going to help you win. You just have the better model." What we've learned 6 months later is that is not a moat. Like Google themselves wrote an internal memo, whether it was from them or not, lots of like back and forth. But there was like some memo written by someone who might have worked for Google, but the actual memo is really good. And it was like, hey, we Google don't have a moat. Like if we don't have a moat, no one else does around large language models. The reason we don't have a moat is because we've realized that open source can just create just as many good models. So how can you actually monetize a large language model if there's something equivalent that's just as good and free? And the other thing that speaks to your point around vertical LLM models, like why large language models, verticals, I think will be much more prevalent than the horizontal model, is because they learned that you only need a small amount of parameters to have a very accurate model, like 20 billion parameters, which means you can create a really great model for a lot less money. And you can actually start to create these things and run them on your phone. And so we're learning, I think, that this is, the horizontal large language model is not a really great moat. And the way that you can actually build a moat are the things that we are seeing, like you're already an existing destination. You can incorporate AI in, you can go vertical. I think that that's going to be a really interesting thing to see play out.
I agree with you. And this harkens me to a question that's related to, one of my favorite movie characters of all time classic, all-time hero, a man by the name of Mr. Rod Tidwell. And his quote is, "Show me the money." So if you're watching this, and you're like, "Cool, guys, thanks for being esoteric for the last couple of minutes. Show me the money. Where is this going to actually come to fruition?" We talked about advertising, and I think that's a no-brainer. Like, one of the ways you're going to monetize large language models is advertising. And if you're a business and marketer and you're an early adopter to AI-powered advertising, you're going to get much better results, and you're going to be able to build your business better and faster. What else?
The enterprise. Like this is the OpenAI play. Someone is going to create the plug-and-play enterprise AI system, right? That you're going to be able to create your own LLM model, probably off singular, like a generic model. So let's say an Anthropic or an OpenAI or whoever it may be. Like you can actually have a single model or a generic model, and then you can actually easily train that model and customize it to your needs as an enterprise. So it's like created for your business. And there's like a ton of tools there that you can easily plug and play to allow you to use that AI across your business in a very safe way that's contextual to your needs. I think that we know the enterprise space is where the conglomerate will come from. That is what I believe is like, I don't think you're going to have a lot of winners in the enterprise space. I think you're going to have a couple of winners who really like get themselves integrated into enterprise companies, make switching costs really high, and are able to like leverage that to actually win, dominate in that market.
So the next thing here is, one of my takeaways from that would be, Don't buy software unless it's got AI embedded in it. That's one of the core takeaways from the show today.
Right.
Like, embedded use cases are going to be key in AI. And if you are using software or thinking about buying software that doesn't have those AI embedded use cases, you are automatically starting behind.
Right. Right.
You're losing productivity gains that you could be having. You're losing marketing conversion rate gains, sales engagement rate gains, all of those things.
Right. And I think a good closing point for the audience really is, we talked a lot about large language models. This all kind of started from OpenAI. They expedited the market. And I think this is what's going to be really interesting is, like, does GPT-5 really push the market forward or push OpenAI forward?
We have some rumors.
And we have some rumors
are GPT-5 is coming.
GPT-5 is coming. That's why they released the web crawler, the GPT bot, is like, hey, like, do you want your content in the new model or not? I think they may actually release 4.5 before they release 5.
Yeah, that's
what are the rumors? The rumors are actually pretty interesting because one of the core things that is rumored to be in GPT-5 was the thing that was actually super cool about GPT-4.
That's
it was
right.
like multimodal AI, which means I can integrate a text and get back imagery. I can put an image, get back video. And Google Bard has actually stolen a little bit of a march there. Like, we've seen some really great examples. I can pull up a really good example here. I think one of the all-time greats product launches, akin to like the iPhone or something like that from Apple, you and I talked about it at the time, the OpenAI GPT product launch was just awesome. Like, they killed that product launch. And the demo that everyone lost their mind about was the napkin to website, right?
Yes.
That was
I lost my mind.
I was like,
what the hell is happening?
This is like
here?
a whole new world, right? And this is like the thing that product launches need to do, is like help you imagine a world that you had not imagined before you had seen that thing. Actually, that was never that possible with OpenAI. It really didn't. They didn't integrate it into GPT-4. The rumor is maybe because it was too costly. We know that the cost of doing this stuff has skyrocketed. Mm-hmm. Why do you see companies like NVIDIA? Why the hell do I not have stock in NVIDIA? Has skyrocketed
because we're dumb.
We're dumb. I was actually going to buy some when they were like the crypto darling, and I thought, they've run their course. What an idiot I am.
The PSA: never take investing advice from Kieran.
Never. Literally never.
You're one of the worst investors I've ever met.
I'm terrible.
It's gonna be at some point. We're gonna get to the point where a company's gonna be like, "I'm sorry, Kieran. I don't want you to be an investor because it's like a kiss of death that we're gonna fail."
Like buying Solana at $200 has to be one of the dumbest things. But anyway, Google Bard has actually come out with some really great multimodal use cases. Actually, they're expediting and iterating really fast so that you can actually do the napkin to website. This is a really good example of creating the website from the napkin sketch with a single prompt. The other one that I love is I can input a really cool image of this food. I can say like, get the recipe for it and actually figure out how to make it. Like, it actually takes the image and actually gives you the full recipe and the cooking instructions. Like, we remember recipes in the age of SEO. It's all of my life content, and then at the end, like, there's a recipe, and that's the thing you actually want.
Let me imagine now trip to Tuscany sites. Before I teach you how to make.
Yeah, like I went to Tuscany and it was amazing. I met my fiance, and then blah 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 blah, and there's like 10 pages later, and then we had some pasta and tomato sauce, and here's how you make the pasta and tomato sauce. But like recipe sites in the future are just like images. Like you don't need to give the person the instruction because you can actually just take the image, put into one of these engines, and actually get all the instructions yourself. So multimodal coming from OpenAI, but like again, they've got some real competition here because you have Anthropic, you have Google Bard AI. All of these companies are starting to like integrate that really rapidly.
Well, so one of the things we like to do is we like to look at trends and we like to see what's a surefire winning aspect about that trend. And Kieran, I said something earlier in a meeting at HubSpot that I want to pitch to you because I think it is a surefire winner of the multimodal trend. We're saying, hey, GPT-5 is coming, likely GPT 4.5 first. One of the big things is going to be multimodal, where it's going to be able to interact with images and then probably videos, right? And do that in a really good way. If that is true, we've spent a lot of time on this show so far having some concern for the creatives out there because AI is getting a lot better at creating video, creating images. I'm going to tell you, if multimodal AI is true, the need for great images and video has never been more. Right. Like the need for multimedia content, the need to invest in that creation has never been higher. Because you know what? It's going to be way easier to just use an image or a video to interact with AI than write out a bunch of text. And humans are lazy and they're going to do that. And so if you're a business out there and you're like, how can I take advantage of the next wave of AI? One hedge you can start doing right now is moving from text to image and video as aggressive as you reasonably can.
Right. Look, you played with Lego when you were younger, right? Lego.
Younger, yes. When I was younger, not yesterday, but younger, yes.
Isn't Lego the most awesome thing in the world? I
have this sick Indiana Jones Lego set that I'm ready to put together.
Like every time I do a podcast, I actually hold my little Lego man. It's like my security blanket. It's like my Lego man. It's got like a little superhero cape on him.
Oh, I like him.
And so like when you were a kid, right? If you give a kid a Lego set and the Lego set is like completely, none of it's put together, and you say like build something, and they build something like, maybe they build like a little house, they build something like pretty good, but like pretty basic. Then you say, okay, you already have the house. Now you can actually take that and build something on top of that house, right? They're going to build something even cooler.
Yeah.
And so like this is just building blocks, right? And actually if you give people better building blocks, they can be more creative and build on top of that, on those building blocks. So the more video, imagery, content that actually exists from AI, you can take that as your base and build something much more creative on top of it. So I think it actually is going to help us be much more creative.
I think we're going to have a renaissance of creativity like we have never seen. And I'm super optimistic about it. So as a hedge for the future, invest more in creative assets like image, short form video, long form video. It is going to pay dividends in a multimodal AI world. We're out of time. This has been fun. We talked rumors. We talked Snapchat, freaking people out with weird white ceilings, which is really just Kieran's podcast studio /office / the only place he actually ever lives. It's fantastic. And we're going to be back with you really soon on Marketing Against the Grain.
Bye.
And we out.
This data is wrong every freaking time.
Have you heard of HubSpot? HubSpot is a CRM platform where everything is fully integrated.
Whoa, I can see the client's whole history, calls, support tickets, emails, and here's a task from 3 days ago I totally missed.
HubSpot. Grow better.